Colleagues, good morning.
Morning.
Okay.
Morning.
Okay, Salo.
Thank you. I think we should start with our meeting. It's 9:30. I'm going to switch off my video, honorable members and colleagues, because of bandwidth. My network is very unstable. Thank you, honorable members, and good morning to all of you. Honorable members and colleagues, as we are about to start with our joint meeting, I think we all know that we are Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, and also the Portfolio Committee of Agriculture. And we know that some of our functions, they cut across these both departments. We know that the welfare of animals in captivity remains a critical concern for our portfolio committee, building on the foundation work laid by our predecessors. Acts of cruelty against animals, especially those kept in captivity, cannot be treated as silent or invisible crimes. The sufferings of animals must never be normalized or overlooked. Our courts have affirmed that animals are sentient beings and their welfare is intimately linked to the broader goals of conservation and environmental protection. We recognize that much of the legislations affecting animal welfare, particularly in the context of wildlife, falls under the jurisdiction of Department of Agriculture. These include the Animal Protection Act, Game Theft Act, Animal Disease Act, Meat Safety Act, and the Performing Animals Protection Act, among others. From the environmental perspective, key statutes such as the National Environmental Management Act and the Biodiversity Act aims to address legislative and implementation gaps, particularly where enforcement of Animal Protection Act has proven weak, with violation often going unpunished. These overlaps also mean that both of our committees should work together to ensure progress towards the 5 freedoms for animals. Our last joint sitting with the Portfolio Committee on Agriculture to assess progress on the implementation of the high-level panel expert recommendations took place in February 2022. It is important to note that the high-level panel report was made available as early as December 2020, nearly 5 years ago. The report outlines 18 strategic goals and 60 detailed recommendations, with animal welfare identified as a cross-cutting priority. It provides clear direction on addressing the fragmented implementation of legislation and calls for greater coordination between the Department of Agriculture and the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment. Regrettably, the presentation submitted to this committee only addresses 10 of the 60 recommendations. This selective reporting is both disappointing and unacceptable. It undermines our oversight role and suggests a worrying lack of coordination and engagement between the two departments. Today's meeting, honorable members and colleagues, as I have indicated, is convened as a joint briefing between the environment and agriculture portfolios on the implementation of the high-level panel recommendation particularly those related to animals in captivity. We must approach this work collaboratively and decisively to address the challenges and ensure real progress. With those few words, honorable members, I welcome all of you. I also saw that DM Swartz is logged in. I will also check whether we do have the minister or the deputy minister Singh in the platform. I welcome all of you in this portfolio committee of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment. I am now going to hand over to Chairperson Dainapule, Chairperson of Agriculture. She is going to deal with the introductions and also apologies. Thank you very much. Over to you, Honorable Dainapule.
Thank you very much. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning to you, Chairperson, and thank you for the opening remarks and the invitation to this meeting, this joint meeting of the Department of Forestry and the Department of Agriculture. We appreciate this opportunity to engage with the recommendations of the high-level panel. The unfortunate part then, Chair, is that we do not have in the presentation that I saw, we do not have the presentation or part of the presentation that is covering agriculture or the Department of Agriculture in terms of the recommendations that we made. However, I think that in the presentations that is going to take place, or the presentations that are going to take place this morning, the Department of Agriculture will then be able to come through and assist both the portfolio committees. Welcome, Honorable Deputy Minister. I'm trying to check if we do have ministers, but I think that the two committee secretaries will be able to assist us. I don't want to take much of your time, colleagues. I would like to immediately go to the second item because the chairperson has already outlined the reasons why we are supposed to be here, or the reasons why we are here in this meeting. So we'll go straight to the apologies and introductions. So both the committee secretaries will be able to table the apologies from both committees and then assist us in terms of just introducing the teams that are coming from the honorable members that are coming from both portfolio committees, and also introduce to us members or officials that are coming from both the departments. Let me hand over to you, Albertina, and then you will do it and hand over to your colleague before we go to the adoption of the agenda.
Thank
Albertina.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members of the Portfolio Committee and everybody on the platform. Chair, from the Peace on Agriculture, we've got the apologies from UM Pindalane. She's off sick, Chair. She's not feeling well. And then UMP Madlala is attending land reform program with Minister Unyonto. And then, Chair, we also have, and then MP Tabekulu, Chair, request that to be excused at 11 to attend memorial service of the late IFP member. From the department side, Chair, we've got the apology from Minister Stian Yezen, as well as UDG Ramasud. They are not available due to prior commitments, Chair. And MP UDM Chapa, she's on her way back from Russia, Chair, today. Chair, from the department is presented by Director of Animal Production, Mr. Joel Mamabola, as well as the Director for Land Use and Soil Management, Ms. Lydia Busocha, Chair from the department. I think that is all, Chair. Thank you very much from my side. I will hand over to Secretary of Environment, Chair. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Albie. Good morning, chairpersons and members and colleagues. Chair, we only received one apology from Minister Dr. George. In terms of the team chair that is from the department, I'll read the names shortly. We have the Deputy Ministers, Honorable Singh and Honorable Swartz. And then we have the DG, Ms. Novundo Shabalala. The DG for Biodiversity and Conservation is Flora Mukhatloa. I'm sorry for the pronunciation. Acting Director, Law Reform and Policy Coordination is Mr. Sibusiso Kobese. And then Acting Chief Director, Biodiversity Management and Permitting is Ms. Mukondi Matusa. Director, Biodiversity Enforcement is Ms. Sonia Mentis. And then Deputy Director, TOPS Policy Development, Biodiversity Management and Permitting is Magdel Boshoff. Chief Director, Governance and Executive Support, Zuleika Maestri. Director, Office of the Director General, Pumulo Sehobela. Parliamentary Strategic Support, Office of the Minister, Mr. Themba Gift Mnguni. PLO of the Deputy Minister Swartz, it's Mr. Simeon Kanunu. PLO, Office of the Deputy Minister Singh, Mr. Haresh Indalal. And then Parliamentary Support, Office of the Director General is Piuku Dingiswayo. From the Department of Agriculture, my colleague Albertina has mentioned that we are joined by Mr. Mamabulo. He is Director responsible for Animal Production, and Ms. Lydia Busocha, responsible for Land and Soil Management. Thank you, Chair. Those are the teams that are joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the introductions. You're welcome once more, Deputy Ministers, Deputy Minister Singh and Deputy Minister Swartz, to this meeting. I want you to just be ready to make comments before we start. If you have comments to make before we take the presentations. I'll be the director from the Department of Agriculture. We pronounce the surname as Mamabulo.
Okay, sorry, sir.
Yeah, it's Mamabulo. Thank you very much. We now are going to go to the, so with all the apologies that were made, Albertina and your colleague, we still are on quorum, am I right?
Yes, Chair.
Correct, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Then we can go to the adoption of the agenda. Colleagues, the agenda is before you. We are going to have, now that we have dealt with the opening remarks and the apologies, we're going to have the joint briefing by the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment and the Department of Agriculture on progress relating to the implementation of the report of the high-level panel on captive animals. So, and then from there it will be discussions, and then after discussions, it will then be the closing remarks. So there you are, you have the agenda before you. Can I hear what honorable members are saying about the agenda? for today. We'll see by raise of hands. Honorable Kumalo, Juliet.
Thank you very much, chairpersons, members of different portfolios that are in this meeting, deputy ministers. Chairperson, I move for the adoption of the agenda. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Lillian Managa or Managa.
Thank you so much, Chair of the Joint Portfolio Committee. I raised my hand to second the mover of the adoption. Thank you. I second the move.
Okay, thank you very much, honorable members.
Chairperson, sorry, I don't know if you can see my hand.
Oh, no, I can't see your hand, Honorable Trolip. It's fine, you can speak.
Thank you, Chair. I've been battling to get on my laptop, so I'm taking it on my phone.
Okay.
I just wondered if, while we have the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environmental Affairs, whether we couldn't, at the conclusion of this discussion, just have a quick discussion about the Umfolozi and Umsunduzi flats appeal around the dredging of the area where the sugarcane is grown on those flats, as well as the St. Lucia Lake. It's a matter that I did ask to be put on the agenda in February. And if we could just spend 5 or 10 minutes on it at the conclusion of this discussion, I'd really appreciate it.
Okay. Okay, Honorable Trolip, honorable members, there is a request from Honorable Trolip on the issue. If we couldn't take 5 to 10 minutes and let him introduce this matter and hear what it is, if it needs more discussions, we can then have another meeting where we can discuss, but he would like to introduce the matter. Can I hear what you say, honorable members, before I can rule? Honorable Deputy Minister? Okay. Yes. Honorable Singh?
Thank you very much, Joint Chairperson. Just got the video on to show that I'm in the meeting.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, with regard to the request by Honorable Trollope, I think that is a matter that would require our respective officials to be present. It's an important matter that you and I know that we've been dealing with for some time now. There was an application made for the dredging, and there was an appeal lodged against the environmental consent. And thereafter, the application has been relodged by Smangaliso to the department. So the EIA is what is being awaited. But I think, just having 5 or 10 minutes at the end of the meeting may not do justice to this item. And perhaps one needs to create another opportunity for us to discuss and provide information on this particular matter. That would be my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister. I think, colleagues, is there any other hand? Deputy Minister Swart?
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson of this Joint Portfolio Committee, and good morning, Honorable members. Honorable Chairperson, what I would like to say is that today, indeed, as DM Singh has said, we are not ready to discuss the Umfolozi matter, but I think that I would also support that in the end, we can just take issues that we can take up with Ismangali. So if there's anything new, other than what we currently have on the table around the Umfolozi issue, even though it would not be enough, but I think that even a written submission on questions on anything related to the Umfolozi matter, I think that we can take it even in writing, because I don't think that it would do justice to even just take a few questions at the end, because the matter is indeed important. But I suggest, Honorable Chair, that you please allow us to do it in that manner. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe let me start with, thank you so much, Deputy Ministers. Let me start with Honorable Trolip. I see that you have indicated that you have been requesting from February that the issue be put on the agenda. I want to request that the secretaries of the committees please take that into consideration so that we can include it and have enough time, as suggested by Deputy Minister Singh, so that we do not just take the comments that we're going to have now, but also have officials that are going to be able to assist us going forward with the discussions. We will, therefore, in terms of the two inputs that were made by the Deputy Ministers, take your request. We will edit that at the end. You can introduce the matter so that we know what is happening, and then we'll see whether we cannot reschedule another meeting where both of us as portfolio committees can sit and discuss. Chairperson, I would like to check with you. Are you fine with the proposal? We are going to include it. Albertina and your colleague, please, after the questions and discussions, we will then take it as item number 3, and then we'll shift item number 3 to be item number 4.
Thank you, Honorable Chair Dinah. I think I agree with the proposal that he can introduce the matter, and then we will reschedule another meeting so that we can discuss that, because I don't think we have the officials now from the DFFE who can deal with that matter now. Yeah, I think I move with the proposal. He can just introduce it, and then we will take it from there to another meeting.
No, thank you very much, Co-Chair. We will do likewise then. In other words, then we can continue. It means the agenda, colleagues, we spoke about the adoption of the agenda, and it was moved and adopted. I would like then to say that the agenda should be adopted with the amendments that has just been made, where we're going to include an item that has been raised by Honorable Trolley. Well, thank you very much, colleagues. Let's go to the main item, which is the presentation or the joint briefing by the two departments. Who is going to be leading us? Let's start with the DFFE.
Honorable Chairperson.
Yes, Deputy Minister.
It's Singh here, Naren Singh. If you allow me just to make a few remarks, and perhaps DM Swats will want to say something on this matter. Can I go ahead?
No, I'm sorry about that. I had already indicated earlier on that I will give you an opportunity to make comments. Please do.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Chair. And I'll leave my camera off for better connectivity. But thank you to the joint chairs. I acknowledge the joint chairs and all the honorable members from the respective portfolio committees, the members from the different departments led by DG from our department and agriculture, and the NGOs and other interested and affected parties that are online. Good morning to all of you. Firstly, let me also indicate to you, honorable chairpersons, that I would also like to leave at about 10:45. I'm presiding over the memorial service for the colleague of ours that passed on. So if you can accept that apology from my side, I'll appreciate that. Secondly, honorable chairpersons, thank you for the background that you've given to this matter. You and I think, well, I know I was very involved when the high-level panel met, and we had, there were extensive discussions in the Good Hope Chamber. Hundreds of people turned up over 2 days, and this report and recommendations were released to the public in May 2021. And I think since then, you have quite correctly said that the portfolio committees of agriculture and DFFE met in 2022, where I can recall Minister Didiza, Minister Creasy, and Minister Sochu were present to talk about how those recommendations were going to be dealt with moving forward. And I'm very glad that at last, and I'm saying this at last because I know when I was in the portfolio committee, we really had a challenge in getting the agriculture portfolio committee to come to have this joint meeting with us, because as you correctly said, the welfare of animals in South Africa, is regulated through legislation that is through the Department of Agriculture. So coming together, I think, is a very, very important step, because there should be joint recommendations moving forward. I can recall that Minister Creasy set up a consultative forum called a Wildlife Wellbeing Forum. It was sometime in 2023, mid-2023, so that we could take matters forward and so that the forum could give us more advice. But I think we've reached a stage where the recommendations need to be looked at, implemented, so that the well-being of animals can be taken care of, as you quite correctly said. So it's the Department of Agriculture and ourselves that will really have to look into these matters. And I don't think we should be reinventing the wheel in terms of the recommendations. The recommendations were widely canvassed, and we should just be looking at implementing those recommendations. So from our side, as the Department of DFFE, you will note from the presentation that there have been a number of interventions from Minister George and the department regarding the matter of animal well-being, which will be presented. And I think when we receive the presentation from Agriculture, we'll be able to see how these overlap, how these come together, and what actual steps we can take moving forward. But there have been some very positive steps from DFFE with regard to animal well-being. Thank you very much, Honourable Chairpersons.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. Minister Swartz.
Thank you very much, Honorable Joint Chairs, and good morning again to honorable members and officials and other people on the platform. Mine is just to say that I think that on the matter going to be discussed today, what needs to be done is that we really honestly need to be honest to ourselves that we must not just have an MOU between the DFFE and the Department of Agriculture on paper, and also say that we participate in the Wildlife Forum and Wellbeing Forum. But I think that it should be, we must really implement what we say and not just talk, because I think that when we say that through the MTDP, we must have proper coordination and collaboration, we must really put it into action into what we are doing. Because I think that even here today, we will be able to get to an understanding why the NSPCA did not proceed to sign an MOU with the DFFE on common areas of interest, such as enforcement. Because for me, I think those are the things that should bother us in terms of what we agree on paper, vis-a-vis what we practically do implement. And I think that we should not find ourselves where the DFFE says this is not what we are supposed to do, it's agriculture's part, and agriculture says, no, we don't know anything about this here. But I think that really the officials that are driving this program, which is very important, and this subject matter, we should not find ourselves, like I'm saying, debating around MOUs, and but we must see the practicality of this, what we have on paper signed and as in agreements really being put into place, and we must really implement what we say. When we say that departments must collaborate and departments must coordinate and work together so that we reach the common goal that we want to reach based on what we have put on paper, on what we call the well-being forums, on what we call an MOU. Thank you very much, Honorable Joint Chairpersons and honorable members.
Well, thank you very much, Deputy Ministers, for the inputs. It helps. Also, some of the honorable members who were not here during the sixth Parliament. In the presentation, as I'm about to allow the department to do so, I hope that it will come out clearly where the collaboration is supposed to happen, but also maybe the DG, because I know that the DG from the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment is here. and the DG for Agriculture has apologized, but we have Director Mamabulo here and his colleague. I hope that in their presentations we will get to understand where, when, and how they have met and where they are in the processes that would help us in the implementation. As you stress that we can no longer wait, from the chairperson in the introduction up to yourselves, deputy ministers. So I want to hand over to the DG from the DFFE to come in and introduce whoever is going to be making the presentation, or is that yourself, DG? And then after that, we will invite the Department of Agriculture. DG, over to you.
Thank you very much, chairpersons of the both portfolio committees. My name is Nomfundo Chabalala. I am the Director General of the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment. Let me greet yourselves, chairpersons, and also greet the deputy ministers present in this meeting and the honorable members also for both committees that are present in the meeting. Chairpersons, I'm going to introduce the presentation, and I'm going to request then the Acting Chief Director for Biodiversity Management and Permitting to take the meeting through the implementation of the HLP recommendations. I just put on the camera, Chair. I'm requesting for permission to switch it off. I wanted to introduce myself and I'll continue with my introduction.
No problem.
Thank you, Chair. As already highlighted by the opening remarks from the chairpersons of both committees, and also from the deputy ministers, we also at an official level administratively believe that this is a critical matter in which we need to be coming to yourselves as the portfolio committees to account for progress made in as far as the various government policies and recommendations that have been made. And Chair, we have focused in our presentation mainly on the implementation of the HLP recommendation in as far as captive animals is concerned. And I did note your concern that it is only covering just that aspect. We can be in a position to look at the overall recommendations and how, as a department, we have dealt with those recommendations in terms of implementation. What I also want to highlight, Chair, is that the HLP recommendation did not have a legal standing. We had to include those recommendations in legislation in a form of a white paper that was revised and also taken through all processes and approved. And also we had to put together a policy which also take into account the recommendations of the HLP. And that policy also went through up to Cabinet, and Cabinet approved. And the department, through the minister, from the 6th administration up to now, is in the process of the implementation of the various aspects of both legislation and policy. We do also work closely with the Department of Agriculture. And I think in as much as it's not elaborated upon in the presentation, but I would want to indicate to the committee chairs that we work very closely with the Department of Agriculture in various forums. So not only just in the Wellbeing Forum and also Wildlife Forum, but also as part of IGR structures, given that some of the work that we do is work that cuts across the various spheres of government, we do then engage them. The MOU is in place, Chair, And also we do have an implementation plan of the MOU. However, I would want to acknowledge that, as already emphasized by the Deputy Minister Swartz, we really need to ensure that we enhance the implementation of the MOU. With those words, Chair, let me allow the Acting Chief Director to take the meeting through the presentation. And of course, I think agriculture will then have to talk to their aspects, but the presentation mainly, which we've prepared, comes with input mainly focusing on what we would wanted to share as DFFE with the committee. I don't know whether Secretariat is going to assist us with uploading the presentation. And Ms. Mukondi Machusa, with your permission, Chair, I will hand over to her to take the meeting through the detailed presentation. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
No, thank you, DG. The Chief Director is allowed.
Good morning. Thank you, DG. Good morning, Honorable Chairpersons of the Joint Portfolio Committees, Honorable Deputy Ministers, Honorable Members of the Portfolio Committee, DG and DDG, all protocol observed, good morning. I will take you through the presentation that we have prepared. If you can move to the next slide. Is it possible that you can put it on slideshow? I'm not sure if it's just from my side. Thank you so much. So the purpose of this presentation is to take you through the progress on the implementation of the report of the high-level panel on captive animals. Next slide. So in the next slide, you will see that we have categorized in terms of how the high-level panel recommendations on captive animals have been incorporated into policy and legislation. This is mainly because some of the HLP recommendation had no legal standing unless included in the policy or legislation, and the department has therefore taken them forward in the following policy instruments. I will start with the high-level recommendation that was made on taking a one welfare approach. The minister was requested to immediately initiate a process to engage with the welfare and well-being issues across the sector. The minister has done that and included the well-being issues in the policy and legislation. The Wildlife Wellbeing Forum has also been established as alluded before, and it is operational. The minister was also requested to engage with DALRAD to clarify overlapping mandates for welfare and well-being and the role of NSPCA in that process. DFFE has engaged with the department through a memorandum of understanding and also within the Wildlife Forum and the Wildlife Wellbeing Forum. NSPCA was established in terms of SPCA Act 1993, administration thereof is with Department of Agriculture. NSPCA does not proceed to sign the MOU with DFFE in that regard. On the recommendation with regard to consider delegation of powers for welfare inspection to a broader group of suitably qualified people to support compliance and enforcement in the welfare. The department has got the Environmental Management Inspectorate, famously known as the EMI, and it's a state function, and EMI works with institutions such as NSPCA. The department was further required to develop minimum norms and standards for welfare within all aspects of the sector relating to the 5 iconic species. Preparation for those norms and standards is in progress. The norms and standards will include well-being provisions as well. Next slide. On incorporation of human and responsible management practices, including animal welfare and well-being, the inclusion was done through the white paper on conservation and sustainable use of biodiversity in South Africa and the policy position that was gazetted on the 5 iconic species. Minister to immediately put in place process of phasing out tops which is threatened and protected species, and other legislative registration of and permits for captive breeding operations, specifically for rhino. This was also included in the policy position, but not initiated in light of the rhino poaching risk. They further recommended that Minister puts in place a process to halt and reverse the domestication of our iconic lions through captive lion keeping, breeding, and commercial use. So a draft notice to prohibit registration of new captive breeding facilities, commercial exhibition facilities, rehabilitation facilities, and sanctuaries under Section 9A of National Environmental Management Biodiversity Act, known as NEMBA, has been finalized and submitted to National Council of Provinces for consideration and approval. It was further requested that Minister puts in place policy decision for an immediate halt, the sale of captive lion derivatives, including the appropriate disposal of existing lion bone stockpiles. A ministerial task team has been established to look at this to encourage voluntary exit and management of lion bone stockpiles. So further to the recommendation, we just thought that we take you through the legislative environment that we work under in terms of Schedule 4 of the Constitution. Nature conservation is a concurrent function, and as such, the conservation and sustainable use of biodiversity is managed and regulated in terms of both national, provincial, and local biodiversity legislation. Other national departments also have legislation that makes reference to biodiversity, for example, Department of Agriculture, Water and Sanitation, Land and Rural Development. Existing national legislative framework for biodiversity includes NEMBA and also the subordinate legislation list of threatened and protected species, TOPS, TOPS regulations, Convention on International Trade and Endangered Species of Wildlife, Fauna and Flora, which is CITES, a regulation of 2010, norms and standards for the management of elephants, norms and standards for the marking of rhinoceros and rhinoceros horn, and the hunting of rhinoceros for trophy hunting purposes, amended norms and standards implemented in 2018. We also have provincial conservation acts and ordinances, municipal bylaws in relation to open space and keeping of domestic animals. Next slide. So the following, we also wanted to reflect on and quote judgments that were linked to animal welfare issues. The first one being the NSPCA versus Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, and another in 2017 on conservation and animal welfare reflect intertwined values, and also the NSPCA versus Minister of Environmental Affairs in 2019. Although the minister may not have a legislative mandate to regulate welfare in terms of NEMBA, welfare consideration must be taken into account in decision-making processes. Decision-making processes may relate to decision on approval or refusal of permits, setting of quotas, registration of facilities, etc. So primary welfare of animals in South Africa is currently regulated mainly through the Animal Protection Act and the Performing Animal Protection Act. the responsibility for the administration of both the Animal Protection Act and the Performing Animal Protection Act initially vested with the minister responsible for justice. The responsibility was then assigned to the minister responsible for agriculture in terms of proclamation 45 of 8 August 1997. The definition of animal in this Animal Protection Act refers to any wild animal, wild bird, or reptile which is in captivity or under the control of any persons. So in terms of the National Environmental Management Biodiversity Act requirements, a permit for carrying out of restricted activities such as possession, selling, or specimen of listed tops. It regulates the permit requirements. A permit is required for import and export and re-export and introduction from sea of specimen of CITES listed species. A permit may be cancelled by the issuing authority if the permit was issued as a result of misleading or false representation by the applicant or a person acting on behalf of applicant. A permit can also be cancelled if an applicant or permit holder has contravened or failed to comply with any condition of the permit, any provision of this act, or other laws governing the permitted activity, or any foreign law governing the permitted activity. The applicant or permit holder, if the applicant or permit holder has been convicted of an offence in terms of this act, or the carrying out of restricted activity has a detrimental impact on the species, can lead to the permit cancellation. Next slide. In terms of policy requirements, I think I jumped. Oh, okay. Apologies. Further on the number requirements, a permit may be suspended by the issuing authority if the carrying out of the restricted activity is likely to have a negative impact on the survival of the listed, threatened, or protected species. And it can also be suspended if a permit holder is under investigation for contravening or failure to comply with any provision of this act or any condition of the permit. Under TOPS of 2007, compulsory registration of captive breeding facilities and commercial exhibition facilities, rehabilitation facilities, and sanctuaries. The requirement and regulating breeding and hunting, etc. Under CITES, a registration of persons, facilities involved in CITES listed species is also required according to NEMBA. And also in terms of NEMBA, what has been added, well-being of wild animals. Apologies for that. And also apologies for that, Chairperson. And also under the new amendments, there is also a definition that refers to physical, physiological, and mental well-being of animals, and also the power to prohibit activities that may have a negative impact on the well-being of wild animals. A new section, and also the power to make regulations pertaining to well-being. So this goes back to the initial introduction on how we have incorporated well-being issues into the legislation. Next slide. In terms of policy requirements, we had the white paper on conservation and sustainable use of South Africa's biodiversity, a white paper that was published in 2023 under Goal 2 on sustainable use. The sustainable use of biodiversity enhances thriving living land and seascapes and ecosystems, livelihoods, human well-being, while a duty of care avoids, minimizes, and remedies adverse impacts on biodiversity. Under the policy position, that was also published in 2024 on the conservation and sustainable use of elephants, lion, leopard, rhinos, and the 2 species of rhinoceros, white and black rhino. In that policy position, it focused on correcting unsustainable practices, promoting conservation, sustainable use, and well-being of the 5 species. Captive breeding, including captive breeding, export and exporting of live animals. Policy objective 1 on captive lions was to end the captive keeping of lions for commercial purposes and close captive lion facilities. Also put a halt to the intensive breeding of lion in controlled environments, and also end the commercial exploitation of captive and captive bred lions. So in terms of the Wildlife Wellbeing Forum, it was formally established in May 2023 by then Minister of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment as a consultative forum in response to the recommendation made by the HLP. The Wildlife Wellbeing Forum functions under a formal terms of reference that was approved by the minister in 2023, and it also serves as a consultative platform for constructive engagement and collaboration and evidence and information sharing among stakeholders representing the well-being interest of wild animals. And the forum, amongst others, also provide advice on the implementation of the recommendation of the HLP relating to well-being of wild animals. Then specifically to respond to questions that were tabled by the members of the portfolio committee in the meeting of in its meeting of June 2025, 3rd of June 2025, there was a question in terms of can NSPCA and provincial authorities, the minister or the department, force the closure of facilities that transgresses repeatedly or egregiously. Apologies for that. Response from the department is that for permits issued under NEMBA may be cancelled or suspended by the issuing authority in the circumstances set out above. What I just alluded to in terms of the conditions that can lead to suspension or to withdrawal of the permit. However, transgression by lion facilities relate mainly to the provision of the APA. So closure of facilities for repeated offenses should follow successful prosecution, when the court should be requested to declare the owner of the facility to be unfit to care for wild animals. The following factors will be considered when closing a facility: a well-being of the confiscated animals, a suitable replacement facility of all the wild animals in the facility, socio-economic implication, including job losses, potential constitutional implication, including Section 25, rights of property. So the minister has engaged in a structured process to phase out captive lion industry, and hence the establishment of the ministerial task team that is working with the facility owners to facilitate voluntary exit. Next slide. There was also a question on why these non-compliance incidences are not being investigated and why are their licenses not being revoked. Permits issued under NEMBA may be cancelled or suspended by the issuing of authority in the circumstances that I just spoken to. However, transgression by owners of lion facility relate mainly to APA. Environmental management inspectors investigate non-compliance with the provision of NEMBA and can take enforcement or administrative action in the respect of this transgression, whereas welfare-related transgressions must be investigated by the NSPCA. There was also a question around the request for DFFE to respond to the statement that Wellbeing Forum members are not allowed to access the Wildlife Forum as observers or to get minutes, but the Wildlife Forum has those privileges when it comes to attending or being privy to the Wellbeing Forum meetings. The Wildlife Forum has been in existence for almost 20 years and has always worked and continue to work in accordance with the terms of reference as approved by the Minister. It's a professionally managed forum which always stick to its mandate at all material times. And I think whenever there is a request for a joint a meeting, that was done. Next slide. Then there was a question around whether there are meetings held with NSPCA and others, and taking these suggestions to the Department of Agriculture and making sure that these are included or covered in the Animal Welfare Bill. So the DFFE and NSPCA meet from time to time. If the DFFE under circumstances such as if DFFE detects welfare issues in captive facilities, and they need to refer this to NSPCA, or if NSPCA requests the DFFE's assistance in respect of a particular investigation. The meetings are on a case-by-case or on a need basis. The Department of was also requested to clarify their role in drafting the Animal Welfare Bill and whether this will be covered in the presentation, in today's presentation. The DFFE is not part of the drafting team of the Animal Welfare Bill, but will provide inputs before the bill is finalized for public participation if requested to do so. There was also a question on why is the department considering downgrading the norms and standards for damage-causing animals to guidelines, referring to the Mawana elephant issue. The committee can see the value of stricter and enforceable norms and standards. The aim of the norms and standards will not be to add a new layer of restrictions or prohibitions, but rather to provide minimum requirements for those methods for the management of damage-causing animals that are permissible, but regulated through NEMBA or provincial conservation legislation. So damage-causing animals are predominantly include animals such as lion, leopard, elephant, buffalo, hippo, porcupine, vervet monkey, baboons, warthog, and bush pig, amongst others. And most of these species are not listed as threatened or protected species under NEMBA. Next slide. There was also a question on why is the department, so it's a continuation of the previous question on the downgrading of the norms and standards. So the norms and standards are issued in terms of NEMBA. It will not be possible to uniformly implement and enforce the scope of damage-causing animals norms and standards for the following reasons. Non-compliance with provision of norms and standards is currently not a punishable offense under NEMBA. NEMBA norms and standards are only enforceable for listed top species only, and then only through a permit condition. And it's only enforceable, punishable if the applicant then contravene or is non-compliance with the permit condition, which is a NEMBA offense, or if there is no such permit condition, then there won't be any offense at all. One of the conditions to be met for national legislation to prevail over provincial legislation is if national legislation deals with a matter that requires uniformity across the nation, and the national legislation provides that uniformity through national policy, frameworks, or norms and standards. So if the norms and standards deal with methods that are mostly used in connection with non-TOPS DCAs, and most part of the norms and standards is not enforceable, the norms and standards will not then provide that uniformity. Hence, the provision of the guideline could still be used by provincial conservation authorities as conditions to permit issued in terms of provincial conservation legislation. That is the end of my presentation, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. I think that's our from
DG, would you like to come back?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chairperson. I think that's our input from the DFFC side. Okay. We will then take the questions later on, which would seek clarity to our presentation. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, DG. Director Mamabolo. From the Department of Agriculture. Who is leading us from the Department of Agriculture, please?
Good morning, executives, colleagues, members of Portfolio Committee present here. I hear that my name is being called. Yes, I'm Lady from Department of Agriculture. I'm not sure if, Chair, you are requesting any inputs or comments from our side. May I seek your advice?
Yes, I was asking for comments or whether it's an input that you have to make, because in the presentation it also talks about us, yourself as a Department of Agriculture. And just before you continue, we've noted the apologies from the Deputy Minister Singh and Utatu Tsebekulu. I know that they would be leaving very soon, so we are allowed when the time arrives that you have to leave, you can be excused. Director Mamabolo.
Yeah, thanks, Mebule. Yeah, we're listening to the presentation, and at this stage, there's honestly not much to say except that in the opening, I heard you did make a question to find out as to when and how we did meet. I can mention that we never had any meeting with our counterpart DFFE or with this high-level panel meeting lately, as it was presented that there was a portfolio committee meeting of the 3rd of June 2025. So lately we never had any engagements with our counterpart. I can also only add that indeed the legislation that deals with the NSPCSA or welfare of animals is within the Department of Agriculture. Yes, indeed, we are now working on the new legislation, which is still a bill to be drafted. It's at very infancy level for drafting of a bill on animal welfare. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Director Mamabolo. There you are, colleagues. We do not have any slide or any presentation from the Department of Agriculture. I see that I have a hand up. I would like to take Honorable Mtwedi and immediately after hand over to my co-chair to take up this part that is following. Honorable Mtwedi.
Thank you very much. A very good morning to both chairpersons and members of the committee. Chair, I must raise my concern with the unavailability of the Minister of Agriculture. And in his apology, he cited that due to prior commitments. I think it's Tuesday today, and all of us know that Tuesdays are meetings of the Department of Agriculture. Now, how do you then plan to do something in 2 weeks, a week's time, and choose a Tuesday, whilst you know quite well that the department will have, the PC will sit? So I'm having a serious concern, Chair, with the lack of commitment from the Minister of Agriculture on these, especially the joint meetings. It's a serious concern, Chair. I think he selectively chooses joint meetings that he wants to attend, preferably with the police that deals with, these imaginary things of genocide in farms. It's a concern that I want to raise, Chair, also with the DG. And so to say, the Mama Bolo comes here and says nothing on such an important matter when they knew that we have a meeting today, when they knew that they ought to update us in terms of what has been achieved so far. And he comes here to say it's just nothing. It's a serious concern, Chair. This clearly shows that the department does not take some of the work, Chair. Now, the other issue, Chair, that I want to raise is to say that the only thing that I heard him saying, he said the legislation that deals with NSPCA resigns with the Department of Agriculture. He spoke that they are going to introduce a bill and this and that. But maybe one must check, because in the presentation that we got, thanks for that very detailed presentation from the the team led by the DG of Fisheries, is that NSPCA has not signed an MOU with the DFFE. Now, I want to find out, why has it not signed an MOU with the DFFE when you are indicating from the agriculture that the NSPCA's legislation reside with you, and when you, your agriculture, have signed an MOU with the DFFE? That's what I want to actually check, Chair. The other thing, Chair, is that when the MOU was signed between DFFE and DOA, what are the specific progress that has been made through this MOU and the engagements between both the department, and also to clarify on the overlapping mandates of the wildlife game and well-being and the role of the NSPCA? I just wanted to check that, Chair. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mtwedi. Colleagues, I would like to hand over back to my co-chair, Chairperson Kanzo. Are you ready? Please do take over.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I think, Honorable Chair, I see there's hands already. I will now afford an opportunity, honorable members, for any clarity-seeking questions and also inputs that you would like to make. But before that, Honorable Chair of Agriculture, I just want to read the letter that was coming from your minister, Minister Steenhuisen. To Honorable Chairperson Kanjo, request to reschedule briefing scheduled for to brief the committee on 3rd June 2025 regarding progress made in implementing the recommendations of the high-level panel of experts on the management of breeding and trade of key wildlife species. I fully appreciate the importance of the committee's oversight in this matter and remain committed to transparent and constructive engagement with Parliament. However, the department will be hosting the G20 Agriculture Working Group in Limpopo during this week, and international engagement of strategic importance under G20 presidency. In light of this, I respectfully request that the briefing be rescheduled to Tuesday, 24th of June, or to another suitable date that may align with the committee's program, so that we have time to adequately prepare for this briefing. The reason why I'm reading this letter, Honorable is that we had initially requested the meeting to sit on the 3rd of June. But due to the request from your minister, it was then rescheduled for today. So now, I also want to raise my disappointment on that. From the other side, there is no presentation, there's nothing. And also share the same sentiments with what Honorable Mtwenty said, that the absence of the Minister of Agriculture also, it's really not acceptable. That's why I've decided to read his letter verbatim, honorable members, so that from our side of DFFE, we have done what we were supposed to do. And also, we also told the department that they need to prepare a presentation for this meeting. So I think before I hand over for members to engage with the report, I thought I should just make that clarity. Thank you, Honorable Chair. I am going to note ends, honorable members. I see the hand of Andile's iPhone, but I don't know, Honorable Pule, whether this is a member of Parliament, because it just says Andile's iPhone. If the people can rename their gadgets, I think it will really assist us, honorable
Let me help
members.
you. Yeah, let me help
Please.
you. He is a member of, he's an honorable member of Parliament. His surname is Mkritama. And Mkritama. Honorable Mkritama, if ungayibhala kakuhle ifoni igama lakho efonini, or else the secretaries, Ntantla, if you can help them change their names and be written properly, please.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Chair. It's Andile Mkutamas, number 1, followed by Honorable Prolip, Honorable Nazir Paulson, number 3, Honorable De Block, number 4, Honorable Kumalo, number 5, Honorable Mkize, number 6, Honorable Lilian Managa, number 7, Honorable Tandi Makasi, number 8, Honorable Julian Mukwena, number 9, in that order, honorable members.
Thank you, Chair, and also the chairperson of the Agriculture Portfolio Committee and honorable members. Now, let me just also add my disappointment in the conduct of the minister. It doesn't show any serious commitment to respecting this committee work. We must send a formal letter to him to express our disappointment as committees. Then also the Department of Agriculture failed to prepare for a meeting which has been long scheduled. It's a big disappointment. Once more, it shows a lack of appreciation of the need to engage this committee seriously. Now, Chair, there's a raft of policy proposals and processes which are underway. I just want to raise the 2 issues with regard to that. We will have to see the details of all those policy proposals to see if they cover, for instance, the matter of what kind of punitive measures are being proposed to deal with transgressors, more so repeated transgressors. Are there any penalties which include criminalization of transgressions by holders of these animals? That's the one thing. The other thing is a bigger conceptual matter which relates to why are we even considering maintaining captive animals, even under this new regime of some protections being provided? Because civilized nations in the world keep wild animals in the wild. Why are we allowing for exploitation of animals for the profit motives of breeders, circuses, including zoos. As I say, civilized nations, we can do a comparative study just to see, are moving away from keeping animals at all for these purposes of exploiting them. Wild animals must be kept in the wild. It will be good to get a sense of why, for instance, is the lion being prioritized and not other species. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mqetama. Honorable Trollip.
Thanks very much, Chair. I just want to align myself with the fact that I'm really disappointed that the Department of Agriculture, that the Minister is not present, and that the department appears to be wholly unprepared for this meeting. I'll tell you why I say that. Mr. Deputy Minister Singh quite rightly said that there's some members on this committee or these committees that have been around for since the last administration, and that this matter has been on the agenda for a long time. Well, there's some of us that weren't there, and there are some really important issues here around legislation and regulations that need to be properly considered. And I'm the last person to want to delay this matter. But even the documentation that we received it only a couple of days before this meeting. And when I hear that the meeting was requested to be held today, I would assume that the department would have been properly prepared to come with a presentation around their position. So my questions are related primarily to why has there been no MOU signed with the NSPCA? Is there any pending litigation in this regard? And why have the two departments not been able to come together with the NSPCA? I'm concerned that Mr. Mamabolo says that there have been no meetings with the DFFE since 2025. That's a matter of great concern for me. And then I think South Africa probably has the most biodiversity on the African continent, with numbers of species and strong conservation, which has become a national heritage asset for our country. And I just want to make sure from the Department of Agriculture and DFFE that none of these regulations are going to compromise our biodiversity endowment that we have. Then I would like to hear from the Department of Agriculture, where they were talking about the reopening or re-establishment of natural corridors to assist with the control of bovine tuberculosis, foot and mouth disease, and corridor disease. These are diseases that are spreading like wildfire in the agricultural community and causing much devastation. I need clarity on what the reopening or re-establishment of these corridors actually means. And then I really would like to know why the Wellbeing Forum is saying something completely different to the Wildlife Forum and the presentation that we've just heard. We've heard that the Wellbeing Forum says they don't have access to Wildlife Forum meetings and minutes, but the presenter said they do have. This needs clarification, and I'd like to know why there's this juxtaposition. Thanks very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Trollip. Honorable Paulson.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Chair of the other Portfolio Committee, Honorable Pule. And good morning, members and our colleagues in Agriculture as well. Chair, I'm going to put my video off to save bandwidth. Chairperson, this hasn't been coming on since the 6th Parliament. When I served in the Agriculture Portfolio Committee, it used to be Forestry, Fisheries and Agriculture. We started with this process. So, Chairperson, there's a couple of issues that for 10 years have remained unresolved. One of it is the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, the NSPCA, not proceeding to sign a memorandum of agreement with the DFFE. So this shows that there's a lack, a potential lack of formal cooperation or unresolved issues between NSPCA and DFFE in investigating welfare-related transgressions. And I think that is, we need to know what is being done to resolve those this issue, Chair. I mean, it's critical in addressing issues concerning animals in captivity. So the primary welfare legislation, the Animal Protection Act and the Performing Animals Protection Act, are administered by the Minister for Agriculture. So there's a division of responsibility, whereas we manage biodiversity legislation under NEMBA, but we encounter welfare issues that fall under the Agriculture Department's mandate. And this hinders comprehensive enforcement. So these are the sort of issues that need to be responded to. How will we resolve these issues? So we know that under NEMBA, permits can be cancelled or suspended. But transgression by lion facilities, captive lion breeding facilities, this relates mainly to the Animal Protection Act under agriculture. So this means that DFFE's direct power through NEMBA permits might not be sufficient to address core welfare issues effectively because it falls under agriculture's domain. Another issue that needs to be resolved, there's a whole bunch of issues that needs to be resolved, and I'll be submitting it to the department. But, the other members are correct. There's no political will. I mean, the minister's not here to hear the concerns. And also, this is an issue that's been dragging on for more than 10 years now, and there's no political will to resolve it. And the only people that are benefiting from this are those people who keep animals in captivity for breeding purposes, for canned hunting. And they are the ones benefiting because as legislators, we are dragging our feet and we are not putting effort into resolving these issues. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Paulson. Honorable De Blok.
Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning to both our joint chairs, the Deputy Ministers, honourable members, officials, and the interested public joining our meeting. I see there is quite a large attendance, so this is a very topical presentation today. Thank you for that presentation. This is an important issue that has enjoyed broad support, I think, in the previous administration. And it's a legacy that I think we want to carry forward as the Portfolio Committee in the 7th administration. Obviously, we have 2 remaining members from the Portfolio Committee on Forestry, Fisheries and Environment from the previous administration. One of them is now our Deputy Minister and the other is our Chair. So we have some influential people in leadership positions who I'm sure want to see these recommendations carried through. So I think that's positive. I'd also like to echo the Deputy Ministers in their opening remarks where they applauded the collaborations between the 2 departments, and I think that's important and we should have more joint meetings moving forward. There's a number of issues where there's overlap, such as poisoning in wildlife, ecologically friendly agricultural practices and infrastructure, obviously animal well-being, but a whole host of other things that I think we should be working on collaboratively as committees and between the departments. So I encourage that. And I would like to pick up on something that DG Chabalala said in her opening remarks, where she said the high-level panel recommendations were not legally binding. They have obviously been incorporated into the white paper and the policy position that was approved by Cabinet. But the requirements for responsible management practices, which include welfare, have not been concluded, and it needs to obviously be enacted in legislation. So the obvious question that leads on from that is, what is the timeline and the plan for this, and who is leading on it, and will we be kept updated as the committee? I think this is something that interests all of us. Chair, I would also like to raise the fact that the ministerial task team, who was appointed after the recommendations of the high-level panel were adopted to take forward, particularly the issues relating to lions, were not invited to this meeting until after 9 a.m. And I think that is a serious administrative oversight, and I hope there's not anything else behind that decision. But getting to the presentation itself, Chair, I have a number of questions. Please bear with me. The Animal Welfare Act, which is currently being drafted by the Department of Agriculture, is going to be critically important moving forward. I'm happy that it sits with the Department of Agriculture, but of course it needs to consult with the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, where the welfare issues pertain to wildlife. So I would like to know what collaborative work is going on there in the drafting. Have there been meetings between the two departments? If not, will they commit to having meetings to develop this collaboratively so that we have a good piece of legislation that covers all our bases before we have to go out for public participation and go through the whole process of amendments if we need to? Sticking with legislation, the Animal Protection Act, I think, is insufficient. It's outdated, and we've had concerns raised by the NSPCA in our committee recently about the lack of relevant punitive measures. So some of the fines being issued are just unacceptably low. Is there appetite from the two departments for this legislation to perhaps be reviewed? I'd like to hear. Then on the subject of the Wellbeing Forum, I appreciate that an answer was put forward, but I thought it was wholly insufficient, to be honest. I take the points that the Wildlife Forum is a professional run group and they work to their mandate and they have terms of reference and they've been around for a long time, but the lack of reciprocity wasn't addressed. And I wonder why the terms of reference can't be amended so that those privileges can be extended both ways. I don't think this has been a sufficient answer. If there are concerns about, for example, professional interests being disclosed, then there are ways for observers to sign non-disclosure agreements, and there's ways to work around that. But I'm not really happy with that answer. And then the Wellbeing Forum itself, I would like to know, and I'm sure that the wider committee would too, what progress has been made and what the Wellbeing Forum are addressing. And I'd welcome a presentation from the chair of the Wellbeing Forum at one of our committee meetings in future, so that we can become more au fait with the work of that group. Then, Chair, the National Assembly resolution, which emanated from that colloquium on captive lion breeding, required that the Departments of Environment and Justice create a joint work stream to resolve the overlapping welfare mandates. I'm not sure that this was ever done, and I'd like some feedback on that and if there are plans to rectify that. Then the Environmental Management Inspectorate was mentioned in terms of dealing with welfare issues, but to my understanding, they don't have any welfare competency. Their officials leave their responsibility entirely to the NSPCA, which is not funded by government but has to fulfill this role. So how many welfare inspections, if any, have been carried out by the EMI, and will their officials be trained in welfare issues so that they can take over some of that significant burden? I'm also interested in the MOU, but I have been covered by my peers on that. Then the announcement on the captive lion breeding moratorium on new facilities, as well as the voluntary exit pathways, were greeted, by my understanding, with overwhelmingly positive feedback during public participation. And I wondered if there would be a chance to give us an update on how that is going. I understand that these are sensitive matters sometimes, and there's a fair amount of animosity. I'll leave it at that. But some politics playing out in the industry itself. But if there is a way for the department to take us into their confidence about how that is going and particularly what the next steps are and potentially timelines for those, that would be appreciated. The issue on there's currently in progress an application for a court interdict forcing the minister to issue a quota for the export of lion bones. He's said publicly that he will not be doing that. but this presentation neglected to mention it. I wonder why that was and what is the status of that application. I think we're waiting to hear from the courts. The other court challenge I'm interested. Yes, yes, Chair.
No, we are not being fair now.
Okay.
Please think of time. There's
Okay,
also
can I
other
wrap
hands.
up?
There's also a few hands. Please wrap
Can I
up.
wrap up with 30 seconds?
Please
Thank
wrap
you,
up,
Chair.
Honorable Kutlo.
Okay. Chair, my last concern is just around well-being and the fact that it's being challenged in court but hasn't been ruled out. And is this still being carried forward in future decision-making processes as required by law? Thanks, Chair. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Honorable Kumalo.
Thank you very much, Chairs. Chairperson, I think one of my question, Honorable Motwedi, have covered me, but I want to emphasize it, that can we be given a clear, more information, especially on the overlapping mandates for welfare and well-being? And lastly, Chairperson, can we be given the terms of reference stipulated in the memorandum of understanding between the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment and the Department of Agriculture? If we can taken through, Chairperson, or given the terms of reference of these two departments. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Kumalo. Honorable Mkiza.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Greetings to every member of Parliament that are present, Deputy Ministers, and everyone present. I would like to welcome today's presentations. From what one have gathered from today's engagement, I find these issues reflect ongoing misalignment in legislative authorities, fragmented interdepartmental coordination, and the inability to effectively enforce well-being and conservation of animals. My first question, what is the projected timeline for the finalization and tabling of the Animal Welfare Bill? And how will the department ensure that the bill effectively addresses regulatory gaps and inconsistencies between the Animal Protection Act, Performing Animal Protection Act, and the Animal Environmental Management Biodiversity Act? My second question would be, can we be provided with a reason for the delay in signing a formal memorandum of agreement between the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment and NSPCA? I think that question others have already asked, but I would also like to get the answer. My third question, what specific steps has the department taken to train and capacitate inspectors appointed under the Animal Protection Act to effectively deal with welfare transgression in captive wildlife facilities, particularly those facilities licensed under TOPS regulations, and what progress has been made in enhancing their capacity to enforce animal welfare standards? The question, following questions, only two left that I would like to address to Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment. Given the 2019 Constitutional Court judgment that was between NSPCA and the Minister of Environment Affairs, confirmed the department's duty to consider animals' welfare in conservation decision. How does the department justify its absence from the Animal Welfare Bill drafting progress? Because I've heard that they are not part of the Animal Welfare Bill drafting processes. My last question, Honorable Chairperson, is what is the status of the promised norms and standards for the 5 iconic spaces, and how will the DFFE ensure they remain enforceable if issued as guidelines rather than regulations? I thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable. Please, Honorable Makas.
Chair, thank you very much to both of you and the other chair of DOA, and greetings to all honorable members on the platform, with the officials present and the DMs. Chair, I would want to start it agreeing with the fellow honorable members when they raised a disappointment around the issue of us not having anything from the Department of Agriculture in terms of this item that we're discussing here. Because, Chair, my understanding is when we have joint portfolio committee meetings, we would want to check overlapping tasks and implementations, and a common way of working in terms of us as members. Either when we do oversight or when we are in meetings, we understand the thin line between operations, between portfolios. And I think, Chair, with the letter that you've read out to us, requesting to meet with them, I think it gave them sufficient time to have, having worked around the presentation to us, as their minister did respond in asking for a postponement. So we remain disappointed that nothing has come in terms of us being here. Also agreeing on the issue of us getting an answer on the issue of the NSPCA not signing the MOU with DFFE, that we want clarity on that. And Chair, I just want to get into the issue of the APA or APA and PAPA or PAPA, whether is the administration best situated under agriculture or under DFFE, as it is mentioned in the document that it was initially vested with the Minister of Justice. So I would want to have that clarity, and to Chair, whether there are any penalties implemented against the commercial exploitation of captive bred lions, as well as exporting of live animals. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Makasi. Honorable Beach. Honorable Mkize, can you lower your hand, please? Honorable Beach.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chair.
Sorry, Honorable Mokwena, you are going to follow Honorable Temba. I've noted you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, let's allow there. Okay. Honorable Beach. Sorry for
Thank
that.
you very much, Chair. Chair, I'm going to keep it brief because I've been covered. My substantive questions have been taken from me by Member Paulson and by Member Mkize with their excellent questions. But I would like to just make a brief statement, and I think we as the joint committee must be under no illusions when it comes to the protection and conservation of animals. Generally in Southern Africa and specifically in South Africa. The very success story that South Africa actually has is surrounding the commercialization of wildlife and creating a business case for conservation, whether it be ecotourism or more consumptive methodologies. If we look at East Africa is the jewel of ecotourism, but they pale in comparison to Southern Africa and South Africa specifically in the number and volume of animals that are protected, as well as the sheer areas of habitat that is protected specifically in private hands. And I think the aspect that really makes me incredibly sad is the lack of regulation, the lack of control, the lack of oversight and the lack of implementation of the very, very good and credible legislation that we have that goes out of its way to protect our animals, not only within their habitats, but also from unscrupulous exploitation by people that are only chasing profit and have no conservation ideologies to protect. But that being said, we must protect a very, very mature and capable conservation mechanism and business case that we have in South Africa currently, and not allow certain aspects within this industry to tarnish the commercial industry as a whole. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Pitch. Honorable Manaka, your hand was up and it got disappeared. I'm not sure whether you were disconnected.
I was
Are you covered?
disconnected. No, I'm not covered.
Okay.
I'm not covered.
Okay. I'll hand over to you, then followed by Honorable Temba, then the last one will be Honorable Mokwena.
Okay, thank you so much, Chairperson of our Portfolio Committee. Let me greet the co-chair and also the fellow colleagues that are in the meeting. Honorable Chair, there was a clear and compelling reason why a joint committee between the two departments was called. The reason was to have the matters that are not getting resolved to be resolved. So the failure by the Department of Agriculture to honor its responsibility by not preparing or delivering a presentation is a major concern, Chair. And equally concerning is the failure of the minister to attend this important meeting, especially after the letter that we have read that is coming from the minister himself. As the Portfolio Committee of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, we have dealt with this matter several times. We hope if maybe we engage with the Portfolio Committee on Agriculture and the department, we're gonna get solution because this matter is long overdue. So I have a question, Chair. Why did the Department of Agriculture fail to prepare and present a submission despite a key stakeholders, beside them being a key stakeholder in the matter? The high-level panel made recommendations back then in 2019, but now we still have no report of anything that will be implemented very soon. I don't know, Chair, who stands to benefit from this ongoing delay in implementing this urgent and long overdue reforms? Because maybe it's because the animals are not able to say something for themselves and then cannot advocate for themselves. So maybe that is the reason why there's this delay. And we will also like to request the MOU between the departments and also the NSPCSA so that we can move forward, because we cannot delay any longer, Chair. As the Portfolio Committee, we have done whatever we can to solve this matter, but we are stuck. That was the reason for inviting the other departments in the matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Manaka. Honorable Temba.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I have a problem with my gadget. It's keep on kicking me out, and I'm using Honorable Mkhizo's gadget now. Am I allowed, Chair?
Yes, you are allowed. You're allowed.
Thank you very much. Greetings to the chairs of the Portfolio Committee or for the meeting of the day of the joint meeting. And greetings to everyone who's attending this meeting from Department of Agriculture and the DFFE, all protocol observed. Chair, I also have a concern about our ministers not attending our joint meeting. You know, our ministers, they always come in and leave the meeting before we even finish the meeting. But it's so disappointing when they are not even attending the meeting at all. So I think they must take us serious and start attending our portfolio meetings, more especially on the joint ones, because we have critical issues that we must tackle as committees. Yeah, thank you very much. Honorable Chair, I think the DFFE is not taking is not leading a role in shaping the animal welfare bill and admins in case by case coordination with NSPAC. I think the DFFE, they need to take a lead on this matter or on this bill from now on. And most of my questions have been covered by my colleagues. I only have one question left, which is sorry for that, Chair. What budget allocated has been set aside for implementing the phase out of captive lion facilities, including support for voluntary exit? And how many facilities have been closed or converted since 2021? I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Temba. Honorable Mukwena.
Thank you very much, Chair, and greetings to everyone on the platform. Chair, noting that numerous government departments such as agriculture, water and sanitation, as well as diversity. My question is that, is there concurrence and effective application across the board? And my other question here is being covered by the honorables, the issue piece. Thank you.
Honorable Mukwena, I'm not sure whether it's from my side, but I could not hear you clearly. You kept on breaking. I'm not sure whether it's from my side, honorable members. Did you?
No, we can't hear her clearly. Also.
You can't hear her. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. I thought it's from my side. Honorable Mukwena, can you repeat what you have said? Honestly, I could not hear you.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair. Am I audible now?
Yes,
Chair?
yes, you are now. Yes, you are, Honorable Mukwena.
Okay.
Yeah, just stand there or sit where you are. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And noting numerous government departments such as agriculture, water and sanitation, as well as land and rural development, have legislation that makes reference to biodiversity. I just want to check if there is a concurrence and effective application across the board. And then on the issue of NSPCA, covered by other honorable members. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mukwena. Yes, we can hear you clearly now. Thank you. Yeah, okay. No,
okay.
Thank you. Honorable Pula, do you want to say something? Do you have any question? Before I give over to Honorable Swartz, because she has indicated that she would like to be recognized. Honorable Pula, do you want to raise something? Okay. Maybe we have, but I can see she's still on the line. Honorable Pula?
I am here, Slalo. I'm sorry.
Do you have any question, Mama, before I yes.
No,
I hand over for you.
I will have something to say at the end, remarks to say.
Oh, okay. No, from my side, honorable members, you know, during our 2022 meeting, the Department of Agriculture had mentioned that they were in the process of the draft animal welfare bill. And at that time, they said it was being internally consulted. And now it's nearly 5 years. and the department is still talking about the bill in its infancy. So I would like to check when is this bill going to be tabled? And also, I would like to make a request to the Department of Agriculture that they send the draft developed bill so that we can also interface with it, if it's possible, to send that draft to the secretariats. I'll just put a date and they will indicate if it's possible, because I assume that it is within their purview that it won't be difficult for them to send it by 27th of June, if they can send that draft bill to the secretariat. Please, that is my plea. Honorable Swartz, before I hand over for responses to the department and SPCA and also Department of Agriculture.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I will make my remarks in the closing. You may allow for responses from the relevant officials. Thank you.
Okay, it's fine then. I have been informed that NSPCA is here, and the person who's going to respond on behalf of NSPCA will be Mr. Douglas Wallater. I'll hand over to him, then it will be followed by ODG, Department of Forestry, and also Department of Agriculture. Over to you, Mr. Douglas Wallater from NSPCA.
Good morning, Honourable Chair and Honourable Members. Just to show who I am, and then I'll stop my video. Yes, thank you. I think most of what the questions were about were a bit over the memorandum of understanding between the NSPCA and the DFFE. There were various issues that came up, which included aspects of the POPIA Act. Then we realized that also had to possibly be expanded because of the way that nature conservation entities are set up, like the 9 provinces plus DFFE. So it needed a broader scope. There were also issues around, well, concerns more than issues, about the reporting and who to report to, as well as the responsibilities of officers. I can assure you, though, that we've been in touch with Sonia Mankis, and we are re-looking at aspects of the MOU that we could hopefully get in place that will be beneficial to animals. And sorry, just my own point of order. In terms of the Animals Protection Act, where there are contraventions at facilities, there are actions that nature conservation officials, EMRs, can take, because where there's a contravention in terms of the Animals Protection Act, inevitably there's the contravention of the permit keeping conditions for the same animals, which can cause for the permits to be revoked and those animals to be removed. So it does need deeper discussion, and I'd be happy to enter into discussions over how we can further work together. Thank you, honourable members.
Thank you, Mr. Wallater. Gigi, can I hand over to you? Then after that, you'll give over to the respective officials from the Department of Forestry and also Department of Agriculture to respond.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chairperson, and let me thank the honourable members for all the issues that they have raised. Chair, I'm going to cover at a high level some of the issues, but there's also the DDG of biodiversity and conservation, who will then go into the details of some of the issues. And we do also have the Acting Chief Director Enforcement and the law reform. There's a number of issues also that were raised around our legislation, especially around the determination of the quota. And they will then respond to some of these issues. I hope we have captured, there's quite a number of them, I hope we had captured them accurately as per the concerns that have been raised by the members. Chair, I'm going to broadly cover the issue of the general MOU that we have with the Department of Agriculture. So we have an MOU with the Department of Agriculture, and we can share this MOU with the committee. And this MOU encompasses a number of areas of cooperation. So not only does it cover issues of animal welfare, but a number of areas of cooperation, given that there's a number of areas that we as the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, in terms of our mandate, we have to work very closely with agriculture. And I do, and as I indicated in my opening remarks, Chair, that there is room for improvement, especially around implementation, in as far as this MOU is concerned. So the areas that it covers a number of areas. The animal welfare is one of them, issues of compliance and enforcement, issues of also biosafety, and also issues of biodiversity, agricultural economy, and so on. But this MOU will indeed be shared with the committee so that the committee can get the details which we have signed. The other aspect, Chair, is that the agreement in terms of the implementation is that we meet biannually, and the colleague from agriculture is correct to say we have not met recently, but we have in the past been meeting biannually, and these meetings are rotated in terms of chairing of these meetings, and the DDG will provide details in as far as the content of the meetings are concerned. And we can be in a position to provide even the progress of some of the areas of collaboration which we have discussed with agriculture in the various engagements. Of course, Chair, I think the availability and the commitment from both departments is something that really needs to be taken up by myself as the DG and also the DG of Agriculture to ensure that aspects like your legislation, which is quite key in pursuing our mandates, is indeed fast-tracked. One of the key aspects is around the animal well-being bill. This is a agriculture legislation, and as DFFE, we cannot lead. However, we have committed, even in terms of our MOU, that we are going to be make ourselves available in ensuring that we make a contribution to ensure alignment in terms of wildlife and welfare administration, and also to ensure alignment and eliminate any potential conflict that may actually arise in terms of the carrying out of the various mandates that we have as a department. We are yet to be receive this bill, and I think the Department of Agriculture will then highlight the progress around this bill because it hasn't as yet been shared and also yet being published for public comments. The other aspect that I also just want to highlight broadly is the questions, and I think a number of members have raised questions in relation to the MOU that has not been signed with the NSPCA. And I think the gentleman from NSPCA has indicated some of the issues that exist in as far as that is concerned. Obviously, as the department, we are willing to engage further with NSPCA because we feel that there needs to be a closer collaboration in as far as the work that our EMIs carry out on the ground, and also the work that is done by NSPCA. We would have had bilaterals with NSPCA, and we even agreed that as opposed to an MOU, we would want to have a standard operating procedures also, which also are quite critical in outlining the different roles and responsibility. And our compliance and enforcement unit will continue, will definitely ensure that we take up the offer, obviously ironing out some of the difficult issues and some of the concerns that were raised in our initial engagement in as far as this SOP is concerned, and even the MOU. But as a department, we stand committed to engage and also collaborate, given that it enhances the work that we do also as DFFE. The third part that, Chair, I also want to highlight, and I think Honorable Diplok and other members have raised around the captive industry, and that's one of the recommendations that were made in the HLP, and that was then translated into the white paper and even the policy. In as far as ensuring that there is closure of captive lion facility. We have implemented this in a phased approach. So the whole closure is going to call for the long-term closure will have to follow due process. And as a department, it's what then we will have to work on. But for a start, there is a ministerial task team that is working on this matter. And this ministerial task team has developed options and pathways in terms of voluntary exit as an initial phase in as far as voluntary exit from the captive lion industry. And they've done quite a lot of work in as far as ensuring that there is an audit of the captive lion industry in the country, so that we are very clear in terms of ensuring that the decision is made and also is informed by evidence-based estimate of the size and the distribution of the industry on the ground. There also has been a number of work done in as far as ensuring that there is proper alignment and coordination in as far as the policies and regulatory, and this takes into account that these provinces are also implementers on the ground, and also to a certain extent bylaws in municipalities, but national and provinces are the major implementers of policies. So greater alignment is what has been worked on in as far as the policies are concerned. Potential pathways in terms of options around the exit strategy, and also issues around acquisition of lion bone. So we are currently working on the first phase, which is voluntary. And this then will then take us to the next long-term phase around issues of closure. But already, as I have indicated, this will call for due process to be followed in as far as that is concerned. I think, Chair, those are the high level. I'm going to request the DDG to just come in and respond to some of the finer details in as far as what the members have raised. And I'm also going to request enforcement to come in, because a number of issues also have been raised around the enforcement to curtail some of the behavioral issues that are on the ground in as far as the wildlife industry is concerned. With your permission, Chair, I'm going to request DG Mokhotlwa to respond. Thank you.
Thank you, DG. DG?
Thank you very much. Good morning to DG, good morning to you, Chair, and good morning to Deputy Minister, members of the respective portfolio committees, and colleagues that are in the meeting. I just want to, at a high level, also just to give context to why we are where we are in respect of this particular issue. The primary responsibility for Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment in respect of biodiversity is concerned with survival of the species in the wild. And therefore, we place great emphasis regarding how we conserve species that are able to thrive successfully so within wild environments. In this particular case, we are talking about a species that is being kept in a particular, in captive facilities. And here we're talking about lions and related welfare issues to that. I need to indicate that the concern is due to the fact that lions are a top species. They are threatened and or protected species. And what is happening in captive facilities, or what we also refer to as controlled environment, is around pursuing different objectives. It can be recreation, educational, and unfortunately we had this unintended activity of what is called farming of lions. I need to indicate that we need to be as much concerned about all species, especially top species, threatened and or protected species that are being farmed, and there are instances where the care of such, or the duty of care of such species, is then brought into question. In this particular case, we're talking about lions. I thought I just need to give that particular context so that we understand that yes, the concern may be about lions, but the concern is really about how threatened and or protected species are then being kept in those facilities and being used for whatever objectives that they are being used for. However, our responsibility as DFFE remains the survival of the species to the extent that they thrive in wild environments. So from our perspective, that is why within the respective legislative instruments that we have then tried to make provision to then address issues related to the well-being of top species. And I'm saying top species broadly, not necessarily picking on the lions, because I'm saying that we need to be as much concerned as top species to the extent that they are they exist in controlled environments. And hence all those legislative and policy instruments that we have made available to be able to address matters related to the well-being of such species. So welfare, as indicated, is purely an agriculture responsibility, it's an animal welfare issue. NSPCA, yes, it is a statutory body, and I take it that there are mechanisms through which they are able to account to the Department of Agriculture to the extent that they undertake their work, etc. And yes, there has been interactions between us and the NSPCA to the extent that well-being related matters in respect of certain species of animals is concerned, as indicated in respect of attempting to have a standard operating procedure, which my colleagues will respond to in later responses that may be coming. So I think from our perspective, we are implementing the HLP recommendations as implemented, because recommendations without them having an effect in terms of a policy instrument or a legal instrument that does not have an effect. Hence, we are doing all these legislative processes that we are engaged in that are at different stages of development to ensure that we are then implementing some of the HLP recommendations. Some of them don't necessarily require legislative requirements to be in place, but the priority ones that do require a policy or a legal instrument, those are the ones that we have indicated that we are implementing them, and they are at different stages. So you would know, for example, that yes, we do have the prohibition notice. We do have a revision of the threatened and or protected species, which is regulations, which is the TOPS, what we refer to as the TOPS regulations. We will be starting with the norms and standards of certain species in the next financial year, because we need to finalize the process in respect of the regulatory mechanism, which is the TOPS regulations and whatever prohibitions that can be in place for us to be able to then proceed on to the next stage of then developing the norms and standards, which will provide various guidelines, including how we take care of the well-being of animals. So there are various policy and legislative instruments in which we have given expression to well-being of animals, and we are making attempts, or in actual fact, we are progressing in respect of ensuring that those policy and legislative instruments are then approved, adopted, and passed into law, and then implemented. We work with provinces because this is a concurrent responsibility. The issuing of permits for controlled facilities, and I'm saying for controlled facilities, is a provincial responsibility. It's not a national responsibility. And of course, enforcement by its nature is therefore a shared responsibility between provinces and national in respect of the environmental management inspectors. And of course, they will then work with NSPCA around enforcement related matters. So regarding what we have with Department of Agriculture on the Memorandum of Agreement, yes, it is very broad. We have met, we've got an implementation plan in place. Agriculture is due to host the next meeting that we are supposed to be having for this year, and we are still waiting for a date from them. However, that does not preclude the various work streams from engaging on various elements of the MOU that we have in place. So there are meetings that are taking place. I also need to indicate that from DFFE's perspective, we are progressing very well in respect of legislative reform to respond to various issues as and when they become to the fore, from the HLP recommendation, from whatever court cases that we may be having in place. We are able to respond swiftly in terms of ensuring that we bring in the policy and legislative reforms to be able to respond to those elements. And I'm sure agriculture can then respond in respect of how they are progressing regarding their respective legislative reforms that they need to be bringing into place to address, especially in this particular case, the issue of animal welfare. The issue regarding the forum. So we do have two forums. Of course, the World Beef Forum was specifically in response to what was a recommendation of the high-level panel recommendation. The forum is in place. It's just over a year in operation. We are due to provide an update report to the minister in respect of what has been the progress achieved in that particular forum. We've already held a joint plenary between the Wildlife Forum and the Wellbeing Forum. And yes, as indicated, the Wildlife Forum is an instrument that has been in place for some time. We work with the wildlife industry in respect of various elements, including developing respective standards, some of which even applies to matters related to well-being. So as you may be aware, members of the Wellbeing Forum, most of them are also professional organizations that are active within the wildlife industry in different elements in relation to conservation, in relation to sustainable use also. So the Wellbeing Forum, by its design, it's still a new forum that has been established, and as I indicated, it's just over a year old, and we will be reporting to the Minister in respect of its activities and also its work program in the next few months. Regarding the prohibition notice, I need to indicate that yes, both the TOPS regulations and the prohibition notice have been tabled to the National Council of Provinces, and there are processes that are currently underway to ensure that those legislative instruments then advance to the next stage, and my colleague from RCSM can be able to respond on the progress in that particular respect. I think lastly, Chair, is just to mention that our policy instruments are very robust, and our policy instruments are also comparable to world-class policy instruments. We are a mega diverse country, and there is no way that we can do anything that will threaten or otherwise have implications for the status of South Africa as the third most mega diverse country. That is why we have in place mechanisms to ensure that we've got very sound policies in place. We've got a very robust consultative fora in place, which we engage with them at different stages on various issues related to biodiversity. And we would like to believe that there is policy certainty in respect of conservation and sustainable use of South Africa's biological resources. And in that context, therefore, yes, there are elements in which some of them may be of concern, and this particular one, it is one of those, and we are definitely working around strengthening the regulatory elements, strengthening the compliance and enforcement in respect of that, so that we do not compromise the status of South Africa as a mega diverse country. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, DDG. I am going to hand over to the official from the Department of Agriculture, Mr. Mamabolo.
Yeah, thank you, thank you, colleagues. I've noted with clear understanding the feeling of the committee regarding the implementation and our cooperation in terms of executing our different but cooperative mandates between the two departments. I wish to stress that indeed we are ready and committed to work jointly with our counterpart at Forestry, Fisheries and Environment in order to sustainably manage our natural resources, of course, including our animals. I can commit that indeed we stand ready to organize a meeting with DFFE to discuss further the issues that are exposed within our MOU. But I also want to stress that the Department of Agriculture does not sit at and does not sit at the high-level panel report for the animals that are being discussed today. However, and that is the reason why it was very difficult for us to make a mandate on the report that has been developed in terms of high-level panel animals that are being discussed today. However, we will support the department in view of the fact that the legislative mandates that pertains to the welfare of these animals resides within agriculture. But it's also important again to mention that the Department of Agriculture doesn't have a legislative mandate to manage animals within the high-level panel report, but we will also expedite our legislative review in as far as animal and welfare issues are concerned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mobolo. T, can you flight the agenda? Okay, remember we had requested that we chip in the presentation or just a brief for Honorable Trollip, who's going to just table a matter to us for consideration so that we can reschedule another meeting. Can I then hand over to you, Honorable Trollip, because I do not see any. Oh, I see the hand of Honorable Pule and the hand of Bosocha. Before that, Honorable Pule.
Yeah, Chairperson, thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm sitting here, I listened to the DG, the DDG, and Mama Bull. I just got very confused now, But maybe what I need to do, Chair, is to first, echo the concern of my colleagues from agriculture who have indicated that they are disappointed by the fact that we do not have the minister here today. Well, we had the deputy minister is in transit. And over and above that, we do not have the DG. So both the minister and the DG apologized. But what is very disappointing for me now is that is after you read the letter that you read earlier that you received from the minister. My interpretation of the letter therefore means that you communicated to the minister and the minister requested that the meeting should not sit on the date that you proposed earlier and that the meeting should sit today. And you agreed also to sit on a Tuesday, which is the day of the Portfolio Committee on Agriculture, because we sit on Tuesdays. Now, oh my God. So we sit today, we as the department, as the Portfolio Committee on Agriculture, will receive a letter that says the minister will not be attending due to prior arranged meetings or something like that. Now, we then get the department sending Director Mamabulo, who has nothing to say here, because he has not said anything. It's very disappointing, colleagues, because I don't know whether it's me who just did not hear what Mamabulo was saying, because he has not said anything. So at the level of the department, the DFE, you have the DG, you have the DDGs, you have everybody, and then we have a director. Now, the DG speaks about the MOU. Just a second, I'm sorry, Chair. I'm sorry, Chair, just trying to sort something. So the DG talks to the MOU that they both are participating with the Department of Agriculture. And Director Mamabulo says something to the opposite. the DDG then talks about the meetings that are happening, that the Department of Agriculture is now, this time around is the turn of the Department of Agriculture to convene a meeting. I don't know whether you heard what Mama Bulo said, Che, about those meetings. It's almost like it's the first time that he hears that there's going to be meetings, and therefore he commits that they are going to try and convene that meeting. However, the DDG talks about the meetings that are taking place and the work streams that are there. Now, my question would be, Chair, who are sitting in these meetings? And because then I would like to know from the side of the Portfolio Committee on Agriculture as to why did the department not send the people who sit in these work streams and in these meetings that are referred to by the DDG? But lastly, Chair, I'm just raising my concern. My colleagues earlier spoke about even the fact that we have to write a letter to the ministers, both portfolio committees. But the worrying factor is that the last part, Chair, which is the worrying factor for me, and I think colleagues also from the Portfolio Committee on Agriculture. It's that the high-level panel highlighted 7 legislations that are a challenge here. And the department has not, since then, I think almost 5 years ago, the Department of Agriculture has not said anything about progress on the legislative reform. So they talk about the Animal Welfare Bill, which when I listened to the DG or the presenter earlier on said that there was a discussion around that, and the department said it was at a stage where it was drafted, and that since then there is nothing that has come that shows progress. That is a problem, Chair. And just as a proposal, why don't we have excuse me, why don't we have the department of fisheries to be part of the animal welfare bill drafting or something like that, to avoid future conflicts and the misalignment which is now existing in the legislation. But also, to try and, because, all these 7 legislations, including the SPCA Act, they need to be attended to by the Department of Agriculture. But if the Department of Agriculture is not showing any progress, don't you think that it's very important that the Department of Fisheries also must take part in the drafting of this animal bill to make sure that it aligns with the Section 24 of the Constitution? And maybe we can have progress from there. So I don't know, DG, through you, Chair, in the part that the DDG talks about the meetings that are happening, can we then request that in those meetings that are happening, one of the work streams, I don't know these work streams, unfortunately, it's my first time to engage on these matters, which are very important, and I'm very disappointed that the very same department that is supposed to be assisting us to get to have information on these issues have nothing to tell us today. This matter around the animal welfare bill be included somewhere, but this Department of Fisheries also participate, because I'm thinking sitting here waiting for the Department of Agriculture alone is not going to happen. Chair, I thought I must raise those concerns that I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Chair, I think I also have noted some concerns when Mr. Mamabolo was talking here. I just want to raise something that just really did not sit well with me. Chair, it is incorrect what Mr. Mamabolo said, that they do not have a mandate to manage animals mentioned in this high-level panel report. We have Animal Protection Act that covers all animals, including tops. So I think I will plead with you, Honorable Chair, that you speak to the officials of agriculture as and when there's this kind of meetings, they really need to do their homework. And not, as you have already mentioned, that he did not say anything. And I have picked this thing that he said that was incorrect. So I think I will let that to the Committee of Agriculture to deal with these challenges that we are faced with now, Honorable Chair. Honorable Trolip, can you
Yes.
please just
Yes,
do a
thank you.
5-minute brief, just 5 minutes that I'm
Sure.
giving you. Okay.
Thank you very much to both the chairpersons and also the deputy ministers and the DG that said that they would entertain this brief introduction of this matter. Colleagues, the Umfolozi and Umsunduzi flats are two very important sugar growing areas where you have commercial farmers and emerging commercial farmers and subsistence farmers growing sugarcane. And what has happened is that whole wetland area, including the St. Lucia World Heritage Site, St. Lucia Lake, has become clogged up with silt and reeds, and it results in back flooding of these important sugar growing areas. But also, almost of more importance is the fact that the St. Lucia Lake has become throttled or choked up by silt and reeds, and it is a World Heritage Site, and it used to sustain more than 98 species of different fish, and now there are only 2 species of fish left, fish that can live in a very muddy environment. So the Smagaliso Park made an application for the wetland dredging, and there was a resistance to that, and there was an appeal process. And I'm very pleased that the department and the deputy ministers are aware of the appeal process. I just wanted both committees to be aware that there have been some deadlines that have been set, and I want to appeal that those deadlines are considered very, very seriously, because we can't have a situation where indecision or lack of decisions is causing ecological and agricultural economic devastation. So I believe that this matter is important because it is based on ecological conservation and the conservation of a really important World Heritage Site, as well as assisting farmers to make a living and to grow sugarcane effectively without it drowning because of back flooding. So that's all I wanted to say to both the chairpersons, that both committees should be aware of this, and that we do whatever we can to facilitate a resolution on this matter that has been going backwards and forwards between applicants, EIAs, appeals, etc., etc. Surely we must bring it to an end sooner rather than later so that we can deal with the 2 challenges that I've raised. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Trolip. We have noted what you have raised, and as we agreed earlier that we will have to reschedule another meeting so that we can discuss this matter further. Thank you very much for raising it, and we will communicate as the chairpersons of both portfolio committees and set a way forward on how then do we deal with it. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chi, can you flight the agenda? Chilaga?
Sorry, Chair, I was in a call, yes.
Okay, just flag the agenda against.
The agenda, okay. Can we go,
Okay.
Chair?
Okay, yes, I can see. I'm going to give over to Honorable DM Swartz, as she has requested, to just say a few words, closing remarks. Also to Honorable Bule, then I will be the last one to do the closing remarks and the way forward or the committee resolutions. Over to you, Honorable Swartz.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson and co-chairperson of the Agriculture Portfolio Committee, Honorable Pule, and honorable members. First of all, honorable chairs and honorable members, I would just like to say that I want to apologize to these honorable committees that we come here to this joint portfolio committee and we have officials that are coming here as if they're discussing a meeting that they're going to have, preparing for a meeting that they will come to this portfolio committee. Because I think it is very incorrect for officials to come here and discuss an MOU of which the one party behaves as if they know the contents and the other party behaves as if they don't know what is supposed to happen. Now, I must say that the Animal Welfare Bill is an agriculture bill. We cannot change legislation. Agriculture must lead and the DFFE must participate. Now, I'm very disappointed that we are sitting here in front of these two portfolio committees and people are trying to defend themselves instead of apologizing for not doing what they're supposed to do or not what they're supposed to have done. Because that is why in my opening remarks, I was very clear that everybody knows here what they are supposed to do. They know the legislation, people can quote the acts and people can quote what must be in the MOUs and which part, because last year, there are two meetings that have taken place. Now, I want honorable chairpersons that the two meetings that took place last year, they must provide you a report with the minutes, because I think that is important on the two meetings, because these meetings must take place 2 times a year. So now they must give you that. Now, agriculture is supposed to convene the meeting this year. Now, maybe the official from agriculture might not be aware, but I know because I questioned a lot of questions to the officials days building up to this portfolio committee. There's a Mr. Sirake Dipepenene at agriculture who has been participating in these meetings. Now, I think it's also not good for agriculture to send a representative to the meeting without having given them briefings that last year there were 2 meetings, there are minutes to that meeting. Agriculture is supposed to convene the meeting this year, and agriculture must now give time frames when this meeting will be convened. And also they must, in black and white, write a report to both these two portfolio committees and so that we do not have to and fro of English and words and emails. That agriculture is the one that must lead the animal welfare bill, and DFFE must participate. But I think it is criminal for officials to come here in front of these portfolio committees and start behaving as if the other does not know what the specification is in terms of meetings that must be convened and whose responsibility is on what, because as we have said, there is no specific MOU on this item. There's a broad MOU. Now, out of that broad MOU, there are activities that have taken place, and I'm again stressing that there must be implementation of these MOUs so that we do not have the to and fro of words. Now, even with the NSPCA, the representative that was speaking here, saying how far they are, what is Mr. Douglas Wallace that was speaking here, because if they are saying that they are looking at aspects of the MOU, we must know how long that is going to take. Because if you are saying you are looking at something, you must have time frames. And I think that what must become imperative and important when we come to the portfolio committees. But I must also thank the honorable members for their inputs, for their questions, and for their constructive criticism, because I think that is what sharpens us as departments. And I think that members of the DFFE Portfolio Committee always know that I'm always saying that I never want to come to the Portfolio Committee and try and sugarcoat things, because we are not going to be able to hold each other accountable. But I must apologize that I'm disappointed on what has happened here today, where agriculture is wanting to behave as if it is by the way that we must participate. It is not by the way. So I think that both departments, the officials must go and sit down. And I think that it is fair that in the two chairpersons allowing it, that having listened here, there is no one that was actually blank on what must happen. That in 7 days' time, through you, both chairpersons, really these officials must give reports to the portfolio committees, also give reports on and minutes and even registers, so that we are clear who attended the meeting from both DFFE and agriculture in the 2 meetings that they held last year. And that at the end of the day, we must also have a date on when agriculture is convening the meeting, and that the relevant officials that have been participating must do their work. But I must sincerely apologize that we come to this portfolio committee and officials start playing out a game of who is not responsible, who's not this, but that we have noted all the inputs by both departments, honorable members of the committees, and that we are going to work on it, and that we apologize where we have been sloppy. But I think that it's the reason why we have you as the portfolio committees doing oversight, so that we are able to get ourselves in order and do what we are supposed to do. Thank you very much to both honorable chairpersons and to members of the portfolio committee. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable DM. Honorable Taina Pule.
Thank you very much, Chair, Co-Chair. My appreciation. Let me start with the a short presentation by Honorable Trollip, and say thank you, Honorable Trollip. We will, as the co-chair said, we will make sure that we try and convene a joint meeting at our earliest convenience, and we'll go back also at our program in the portfolio committee and look at the proposal that you made. Since you said you made it earlier, we will discuss that and see how we can then facilitate a meeting that will be able to try and address the issues that you have raised, and find from your words the solution instead of allowing it to drag. And the fact that there are, timelines, maybe outside this meeting we'll discuss, so that I get a better understanding and help in the facilitation of the meeting with my co-chair. Now, the second part, Chairperson, I just want to thank the Deputy Minister for the highlights that she made now at the end, because it therefore confirms my concern and worry that the Department of Agriculture, it doesn't seem to take this work very serious from the leadership, because if they sit in these meetings that the Deputy Minister is raising, and the fact that they have said twice in the past year, and then you have an official who comes here and say, we
we do not have a responsibility in the work that is presented here today. And the fact that the Department of Agriculture is not prepared for this meeting, it's very disappointing and embarrassing to some of us. Mama Bulo talks about something that the chairperson says it did not sit well with her, and I think that's why I just said he did not say anything, because the Department of Agriculture does administer game farms. So I don't know what is this thing that we got here today. But chairperson, I want to say that I don't want to sound like I'm complaining. We have a responsibility here to work. And we have a responsibility as this portfolio committee of agriculture also to oversight on the department. We will do what is necessary to get the information that we are supposed to get here, but also to have the department respond to these issues properly. We will also talk to the minister, because we do oversight on the minister, and the minister then oversight on the department. So all what is happening here, it reflects back on the minister. So we'll have to go back to the minister and indicate our disappointment and concerns. I just want at the end just to say thank you very much, Chairperson, and to your colleagues as the portfolio committee, and the DG and her team for having prepared to come and brief us. We really do appreciate it. And as I said, we will try and see to it on our side that we have progress. And we will then communicate with yourself, Chair, once we have dealt with the issues on our own as a portfolio committee of agriculture. And we look forward to future meetings where we'll get the progress of the work that would have been done from today. It was an eye-opener to some of us to have had this presentation and this discussion that we've had today. And as we have, in conclusion, as we have agreed that we are going to make sure that we have this meeting to discuss the issues that were raised by Honorable Trollip, I hope we will still continue to communicate and make sure that we have that meeting. Chairperson, thank you very much for the opportunity that you gave me. My appreciation.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you so much. Honorable members, I think we need to resolve that a copy of the MOU should be sent to both portfolio committees so that we can give members a chance to go through the copy for them to get an understanding of what is expected from each department. The second one, also, honorable members, we should also get a draft animal welfare bill that has been in development for nearly five years, as I have indicated earlier. And it should also be sent to both secretariats so that also we can also familiarize ourselves with it. Those documents, both of them, honorable members and Chair, I think it will be fair if we can get them on Friday, the 27th of June. I don't think it's something that is difficult for us to get. They both documents should be sent to both secretariats of the portfolio committees. I think we need to resolve on that. Let me take this opportunity, honorable members, and thank both portfolio committee members for their insightful discussions and valuable inputs that they have made on this report. And it is very crucial, honorable members, that we work together to ensure the implementation of the agreed upon actions and to ensure the well-being of captive animals in our country. And lastly, honorable members and colleagues, let me also thank the stakeholders that have logged into our meeting, and also the officials from both departments and and also for both portfolio committees for their dedication and hard work. And again, let me reiterate, honorable members, that we need to continue to work together towards a more compassionate and sustainable future for all animals. With those few words, honorable members, let me thank all of you, and the meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Chair.
Chair.
Long live the Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair.
Sabonga
Thank you.
Sihlalo.
Sabonga.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Marcus. Makasi.